Sigmund Freud suddenly appeared, glaring at the intruders without saying anything. Visibly intimidated, they addressed him as Herr Professor and backed out of the apartment with their loot, announcing they would return another time. After they left, Freud inquired how much money they had seized. Taking the answer in stride, he wryly remarked, "I have never taken so much for a single visit." But there was nothing amusing about the unfolding drama there, or nearby, at the site of the International Psychoanalytic Press, where Martin, the Freud's oldest son, had gone to destroy documents that the Nazis could use against his father. When about a dozen shabbily dressed thugs burst into the premises, as Martin recalled, they pressed their rifles against his stomach and held him prisoner for several hours. One of the men ostentatiously pulled out a pistol and shouted, "Why not shoot him and be finished with him? We should shoot him on the spot." During that chaotic first day, the invaders looked confused about their mission, and it was unclear who was giving them orders. They missed several documents that Martin, while pleading a stomach ailment, managed to flush down the toilet. By the end of the afternoon, all of the Nazis retreated, promising a full investigation later. Back at the apartment, where Martin joined his parents and sister, there was little sense of relief. Anna was especially despondent. "Wouldn't it be better if we all killed ourselves?" she asked her father. Freud's pointed response indicated that he was not about to contemplate anything of the sort. "Why? Because they would like us to?" he said. But his predicament, with its very uncertain outcome, raised troubling questions. Why had Freud allowed himself to be trapped in this extremely perilous situation? Why had he failed to leave Vienna earlier, when it would have been relatively easy for him to do so? And why, even after the Nazi raiders left his premises on March 15th, vowing to return soon, was Freud still reluctant to act? Once Martin was released from the publishing house, he had immediately gone home to check on his parents. "In spite of this trying ordeal, I do not think Father had yet any thought of leaving Austria," Martin wrote. Instead, he hoped to ride out the storm, expecting that a normal rhythm would be restored and honest men permitted to go on their ways without fear. The irony was that Freud should have been uniquely qualified to understand the dark forces propelling his world to mass murder and destruction. In his famed 1930 essay, Civilization and Its Discontents, he discussed man's aggressive cruelty, which manifests itself spontaneously and reveals men as savage beasts to whom the thought of sparing their own kind is alien. He specifically noted how often Jews had rendered services to others by serving as the outlet for such primal impulses. During a life that spanned the last decades of the Austro-Hungarian Empire, World War I, and the interwar period, Freud was no stranger to political turmoil and anti-Semitism, which was less of an undercurrent than a regular feature of his immediate surroundings. On one level, he knew that this made for a combustible mix that could explode at any time, threatening him and his family. But on another level, he was in denial. He was struggling with the cancer that had developed in his jaw as a result of his long addiction to cigar smoking, and he was acutely aware that his allotted time was running out, prompting him to hope desperately that he could spend whatever was left of it in relative peace, without the upheaval of settling elsewhere. It was more than the combination of old age and illness that was holding him back, however. Freud felt a deep attachment to the Vienna that had been a major center of cultural and Jewish life in Europe for centuries. Its thriving Jewish community included composers like Gustav Mahler and Arnold Schoenberg, writers like Stefan Zweig, Franz Werfel, and Joseph Roth, along with physicists, physicians, and of course many of the other leading psychologists of the era. Freud knew or had at least encountered most of them. The center of Freud's universe was Berggasse 19, where he and Martha had raised 6 children. It was also where he saw his patients, wrote his essays and books, and met on Wednesday evenings with the members of the Vienna Psychoanalytic Association. He was wedded to rituals, like his evening walks on the Ringstrasse and visits to the city's famed cafes, where he would smoke his cigar.